Hello and welcome to Deep Forest Raceway for Season 9, round number 2, here in Switzerland for the Gavra Racing GT7 League. I am your commentator, X-Natter for today's race, where we have 31 laps of this beautiful circuit ahead of us. As you can see, we are just behind the start-finish lights before the start of this race, and we're going through the quali grid just in a second. Now that second is over, let's go and see how our drivers line up for today's race. And it's the Frenchman on pole position for the second time, this season, 2 consecutive poles from the first 2 races. He beats out Cameron Kaboom, who starts second place in the Mercedes on the front row of the grid. Just behind him in third place is our flying Finn, Atom Grin, in the Subaru. And on the second row of the grid, just behind him, is one of the BCR cars, Toussaint 0208, number 27, starts fourth. In fifth place is myself in the BMW in fifth, beating teammates Play Dutchy, championship leader, who starts down in sixth place. In seventh, Tiger Assassin, not having the best of qualifyings, gets beaten by his teammate for the first time this season. And just behind him is Litzmanen in the green and blue-purple BMW. In, where are we? What's that? That was 9th. In 10th place is Wolfie in his Toyota Supra with a new shining livery on for this livery. If we just time it perfectly, there you go. You're going to be blinded by the sun if you try to get past him. And just behind him is the Vodafone McLaren, the current Weekend League reigning champion, Ben Roberts, who starts in 11th place. And there is your grid for today's race here at Deep Forest Raceway. I'll give it a couple of seconds for viewers to tune in. Oh, the race is starting. Let's not start the race just yet. But Deep Forest is a fan favourite among many of the drivers. It's a track that we've been to a number of times in the past. We missed out last season during our Super Formula season, but we were there in season... What season are we on? 9, 8, 7. Season 7. But without further ado, let's get this race underway. Oh, I haven't done an audio test. You know what? Sorry, bear with me, guys. If any of the viewers could let me know if the audio is working before I find out myself. Of course, Twitch needs an update. Okay, I think it should be working. So then, without further ado, let's get this race underway. We build to 5 red lights with Piero on pole, our championship leader in 6th. 5 red lights. And we go racing in Switzerland here at Deep Forest Raceway. It's a good start for Cameron Kaboom, who takes the lead of the race. Tim trying to slot through the middle of them like Dutchy did last week in Mount Panorama. Tim side by side with Piero. Toussaint side by side with Natty, who's trying to work his way around the outside. Going in towards the first corner, it's Cameron Kaboom who leads the field away, followed by Toussaint down into 4th place. Dutchy up into 5th, side by side with his teammate in towards turn 2 and 3. Dutchy just getting ahead of his teammate, who slots in behind and ahead of Tiger Assassin. Fortman's maintaining 8th place, Wolfie up to 9th, and Ben Roberts bringing up the back of the pack. But Cameron with a great start. Piero once again going from 1st to 3rd within the opening lap for the second week in a row. That McLaren not getting off to the best of starts. Attengrim, though, up into 2nd place. Now down the longest straight at this circuit, or the longest straight bit of road. Not the longest time you are flat out at this circuit for. Is that a penalty already for Piero? 5/10 will have to be served at the next lap as he looks for a move down the inside. Dutchy down the inside of Toussaint, nearly makes contact with Piero. That's Tiger down the inside of Natty, who runs a little bit wide. Piero's gone off the track. Will he get another 5/10 penalty perhaps for going over at the final corner? Indeed he does. There's a second added to his total race time. Toussaint and Dutchy now side by side through the final corner, turn 15 I think? No, 18, sorry. But Dutchy just slots back in behind the McLaren for now. Does he go for it again in towards the first corner? Tiger Assassin late on the brakes, nearly takes out a teammate. There's contact there between the two BMWs. That's Fortman into the back of Natty, who runs wide now down at the first corner. Wolfie and Ben Roberts side by side as they go up the hill in towards turn 2 and in towards turn 3. Dutchy and Tiger's still going side by side, but it's the Dutchman who gets ahead of Tiger. Natty now dropping down into 7th place. Wolfie didn't end up victorious in that battle with Ben Roberts. It's the weekend league champion up into 9th place. Drivers make their way downhill in towards the 90-degree left-hander, turn 10 before the long back straights. Tim runs a little bit wide. Pierre's going to have to slow down for a second and serve that time penalty. That's going to drop him down, definitely behind Toussaint and Dutchy, probably behind Tiger Assassin as well. He pulls over to the left-hand side of the circuit, off of the racing line, as the drivers disappear into the darkness of the tunnel, but reappear at the light. Pierre on the inside of Natty after serving that penalty, but the BMW can't quite find his way through. Pierre drops down into 6th place, started on pole, and once again struggling to get up to speed. I think he was in 6th place after lap 3 at Mount Panorama after picking up an early penalty as well, so a little bit of deja vu from the Frenchman. Meanwhile up front, that's Dutchy and Toussaint, two champions going side by side in towards the first corner. Dutchy with the inside line to Toussaint with the switchback, beautifully executed by the Season 1 and the Season 6 champion. He won the first season on GT Sport and the first season on GT7. Looking for a victory here tonight, but is running in 3rd place as things stand. You can see a lot of drivers abusing the inside curb. You can put 2 wheels all over the sausage curves on the inside, but as long as you've still got 2 wheels on the tarmac, then you are fine. Through the one of 3 tunnels here at this circuit into the downhill left-handers of the middle sector. And you can see the train of cars that goes right the way from 2nd down to 10th. Fortman's with a 1-second time penalty. But as we cut up to the front of the field, Cameron Kaboom's got a healthy lead in this race. 5/10 purple through the middle sector, but is on the soft compound tyres most notably. Everybody else in the upper midfield on the mediums. We've got a couple of runners at the back on the softs. Fortman's is one of them, side by side with Wolfie, and Ben Roberts also opting for the soft compound tyre. Natty, who led the first 14 laps of Mount Panorama, isn't leading any tonight. He's on the medium tyres in 7th place with the pole sitter Piero just in front of him. Meanwhile, let's ride on board. Driver's eye from Clay Dutchy. Tim goes defensive to cover the inside from Toussaint. Is Toussaint going to have a move around the outside? Where will Dutchy go? He just lifts off, backs up a little bit early, and allows the two to fight in front of him. They are side by side into towards the first corner. Tim on the inside, and he's spun right across the circuit, and nearly takes Piero with him. Drivers have to swerve to avoid him, and luckily for Wolfie, there's a ghosting system applied to the stationary cars. Otherwise, that would have been an unhealthy accident, as Wolfie drifting that Toyota round turn 3 and 4. But that is Tim out the back of the pack with front bumper damage after dropping it on the exit of the first corner, promoting Toussaint up into 2nd place and Dutchy into 3rd. Drivers making their way now onto the back straight. Ben Roberts with a 1.5 second time penalty, which he's collected on the last lap. He will slow down at this penalty gate now, and that is not going to be a healthy penalty. He's going to lose a position to Wolfie, who goes on the right hand side of the circuit, left hand side of the screen, right round the outside, down towards the hairpin at turn 14, but he's running a little bit deep. That could allow Ben Roberts the opportunity to switch back, cut inside on board with the McLaren, but he hasn't got the best of exits. It's going to compromise his run down towards the first corner. We're going to cut back up to the race leaders though, because here comes Clay Dutchy looking for a move on the left hand side of the circuit, the inside for turn 1. He's late on the brakes. Can he get the move done? Toussaint's going to try and swoop it right round the outside. Toussaint's keeping his bump grass. They're still going to go wheel to wheel up the hill, but the Season 1 champion tucks in behind the 4-time world champion. See the train of cars that run from 2nd to 6th. All of these drivers have won a championship within it, in some form of another. As in Gavra racing, we've got F1 champions, GT champions, drivers and constructors. And of course, Ben Roberts just at the back of this train, the reigning weekend league champion. I think Natty might have ran a little bit wide there. We'll have to wait and see if he picks up a time penalty. There it is, half a second. And if you're anyone in this train, you don't want to be the one at the back with a time penalty, because that will just drop you out of the slipstream. And the slipstream is vital at this circuit, with two long straights that are really connected to each other from turn 10 to turn 1 out of the 18 corners here at this circuit in Switzerland. The race leader though, Cameron Kaboom, utilising his pace on those soft compound tyres, starts lap 6 in the lead of this race with a new fastest lap, a 26.1, as it breaks for the first corner. To say not going to go for a move on Dutchy, nor is Piero on Tiger. Natty just a little bit too far behind to make any moves in towards the first corner. Meanwhile, in the background, we've got Ben Roberts, Sportmans and Wolfie fighting away for 7th place. We really do have 2 packs worth of racing. Of course, we have Cameron Kaboom well out in the lead of this race, and Tim trying to make a comeback drive after his spin at the exit of the first corner. Wolfie really not getting to grips with the rear of that Toyota. But we'll keep an eye on Tim, see what pace he can do on those mediums, maybe considering an early pit stop for the medium compound tyres. Meanwhile up front, Natty in 6th will be slowing down for half a second as we reach the penalty gate. That's going to drop him out of the slipstream. Here goes Piero. Is he going to go for a move on Tiger? Is he just going to work with him to catch back up to Dutchy and to Saint? As they make their way through the final proper corner, turn 14, although we do have these kinks, turn 15, 16, 17 and 18. You can see how far Natty's dropped behind Piero, having served for that time penalty. It's just enough to put the BMW out of the slipstream. Let's have a look back down in this battle for 7th place. Ben Roberts on the left-hand side of the circuit, the inside for turn 1. Late on the brakes, goes to McLaren on the BMW, runs a little bit deep. Foreman's with the switchback, just does well enough not to make contact with the McLaren, and a beautifully executed move to defend 7th place. Meanwhile up top, Tiger Assassin in the middle of 2 McLarens as they go through the tunnel. Sat just behind his teammate, but picks up a 1 second time penalty and a really harsh penalty zone by going just over the white line on the inside of the circuit, and he'll have to slow down for a second to serve that time penalty. This could be interesting because there's about 1.5 seconds between himself and me. Tiger approaching turn 14 slightly slower, of course, having served the penalty. Here comes Natty down the inside. Can he slow it down in time? Goes a little bit deep. Tiger with the switchback. They're going to go side by side through turn 15. The drive, though, from the McLaren is enough to get him ahead of the BMW. As they make their way through the final corner, I don't think... Yeah, there you go. Natty's going to push Tiger down the start-finish straight. In towards the first corner, and well, the gap's just started to open up a little bit now between these drivers inside the top 6 after time penalties being served. It does make it rather challenging to catch back up unless you have drivers fighting, but well, we're seeing different games being played in this league. It's kind of a little bit like Formula E. In the past it was, you know, fighting for the lead of the race, but now with the new Gen 3 cars, it's a lot of races of drivers are not wanting to be in the lead to conserve energy in the midfield, and that's what keeps the pack so close together. Whereas now we're seeing drivers conserving the fuel, just being sat behind in the slipstream and fighting towards the end, so it's rather difficult to make up lost time. Speaking of losing time, there's going to be another second time penalty served. Last lap it was Tiger, this time it's Natty G, and well, yeah, there you have it. Natty now about 2-3 seconds behind Tiger Assassin. Wolfie and Ben Roberts going side by side into turn 14, the left-hand hairpin. Wolfie going to try and work it round the outside. This would be impressive if you can keep it round the outside of such a tight, narrow corner. I do like the changes they've made to this circuit from from GT6 to GT7, but I would prefer that hairpin to be a little bit more open to make moves easier for the driver on the outside, even the driver on the inside. But going in towards turn 1, here goes Wolfie. Is he going to send one down the inside? No, he's not. Not close enough to get the move done on Ben Roberts, but it's a nice little three-way fight for 7th place. We haven't really talked about him much, but Cameron Kaboom, well, he's going to serve half a second here on lap 9, but he's leading this race on the soft compound tyres. Unfortunately, we've got a car spun. And it's Fortman's in the background. Let's go back and just have a look and see what happens to the BMW driver making their way through the sector 1, turns 2, 3, 4 in the right-hander of turn 5. Does he drop it on the inside? And yes, he does. The BMW very light on the rear. He's got to be careful when rejoining. That was close to taking out Tim, who picks up a 5/10 penalty for avoiding a collision effectively. That's very harsh. Half a second. Yes, he probably went off the track, but with all good intentions, as Cameron Kaboom serves his 5/10 penalty. Toussaint's going to have to serve a 5/10 penalty on the next lap. And I think if you're Piero, it's wise to overtake Toussaint here into turn 1 if you get the opportunity to, because then that will drop him out the slipstream. And then you have your own fight with Dutchy, who's just starting to pull away a little bit. I think I see change of positions. There's Wolfie and Ben Roberts battling for 7th place. There was contact, I'm not too sure, but back up at the front of the field, is Piero going to work with Toussaint, or is he going to go for the move? Thought about it, but he's not going to send it, or is he? No, he's not. He is just going to tuck back in behind. Lap 10 of 31, a third of the way into this 31-lapped race here at Deep Forest Raceway, and well, Cameron Kaboom on his first race of the season, missed last week at Mount Panorama, is leading the race. And creates a new interesting stat where a British driver has led the opening lap of the race, and subsequently the opening 10 laps of the races this season. However, it's currently 100% Dutch race victories. Having said that, we have only done one race. Toussaint slows down for half a second, serves his time penalty, puts Piero up into a podium position after the Frenchman started on pole position. You can see there Tiger just about catching up to his teammate, not quite within the slipstream though. Natty's struggling to keep up with the top 6 after serving his 2 seconds worth of time penalties. The purple and green BMW trying to catch up to the silver and green McLarens that are battling for what is effectively 3rd place. Dutchy just a little bit too far out of arm's reach for now. And I'd like to pose a question to the viewers either watching on YouTube or live on Twitch. Let me know in the comments or the chat, do you prefer the new the new Deep Forest circuits with the hairpin at turn 14, or do you prefer the old layout from GT6 where it was more like a curved final corner, 90-degree left followed by a little kink left and then another left. Basically the straight stopped about here, followed by 90-degree left and then another left into the final corner, which Cameron Kaboom is making his way to now. So let me know what you guys prefer. I certainly prefer the hairpin, although I would prefer the hairpin to be a little bit more open, like turn 1. If there was a hairpin that was in between the tightness of turn 1 and turn 14, then I think that'd be the perfect hairpin at the end of that straight. It's lap 12 of 31, and Dutchy in second place is unable to pull out that advantage with the slipstream to the McLarens. And this battle for what started as second place, you can see has rather opened up. No one's really close enough to go for a move. No one's really close enough to afford saving fuel like we have seen in the past. Tokyo Expressway could be an interesting one. I mean, I know it's a strategic element, but maybe we take the fuel out of the equation for next season and just have drivers going for it. I mean, of course, we're not seeing much fuel saving here. I don't know. I'm open for drivers watching either on YouTube or Twitch. I'm open to suggestions, comments, feedbacks, anything. Tiger into the pits with Natty right behind him, following him in. And interestingly, do you remember last week's race in Mount Panorama where I had 10 litres or 10% less fuel than the rest of the field when making my way into the pits? Well, this is an interesting phenomenon. On the same amount of fuel as Tiger Assassin, is that the fuel issue solved for the BMW driver, or was there some fuel saving in effect? Tiger's going to come out of the pits just behind Fortman's, as that's not what he would have hoped for in his attempt to undercut the pack. Hang on a second, I'm getting a call, so I will have to take this, unfortunately, because this is rather important. Not even a phone call is going to disrupt this stream. I rejected a phone call from my mother. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's not important anyway, so, you know, probably is important actually. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Meanwhile, crossing the bridge from 8th to 7th could be Tiger Assassin down the inside and towards turn 14, late on the brakes, side by side with the BMW, and I don't think Fortman's is willing to fight this one too much. He knows he's on a lot older soft compound tyres than the car in front. But we are starting to see drivers pit off of the medium compound tyres. Dutch and Toussaint are both in. Pit crews working away to get those tyres off and on as quick as possible. As Dutchy rejoins the track in 5th place. Toussaint comes out in 6th ahead of Tiger, and it appears the undercut has brought Tiger back into contention for a top 4 place in this race. I don't want to say he was struggling because his pace was good, but he wasn't in the slipstream of his teammate before the pit stops, and now he's right back up behind his fellow Brit. They've been teammates ever since the team's championship started in Season 2. Of course, it was discontinued for Season 8, but they are back together again. And I didn't really do this last week when Aston joined me in the commentary box. I never really found the right moment to, but let me know, guys, what your favourite livery is on the circuit. Well, out of the, you know, I think I flipped through everyone at least once to display their cars on screen. So we've got Cameron Kaboom leading this race on lap 15, halfway through the Swiss Grand Prix. Pierre and Ben Robertson are into the pits off of those medium and soft compound tyres respectively. Dutch and Toussaint going down the start-finish straight now. Where will Pierre filter out? It looks like it's going to be just in between. There you have it. Pierre in third, ahead of Toussaint in 5th. Wolfie running in 2nd place, doing an amazing job in that Toyota, but is yet to make a pit stop off of the medium compound tyres and has played Dutchy right behind him in hot pursuit. You can see the grip difference between fresh softs and worn mediums as they make their way through the middle sectors. Dutchy can have a go over the bridge. Wolfie's gone deep and Dutchy goes through down the inside. I'm not sure if there was contact. Dutchy looked very close to the back of that Toyota, but the camera angle kind of panning away. Maybe Dutchy's paying the cameramen. Not only is he paying the stewards, but he's paying the camera crew. As they make their way into the hairpin once again. Fortman's up into 7th place, but is still on those soft compound tyres, yet to make a pit stop. Wolfie finally dives into the pits. Dutchy's going purple to the first sector, so is Piero. And Natty's all over the back of Fortman's, also going purple to the first sector. The two BMWs running close to each other, one on a fresh set of softs, one on the mediums. No, worn set of softs, sorry. And I think we might be about to see an overtake. Natty getting very loose on the exit of the final corner and picks up a half-second time penalty for doing so. I mean, could this race be going any worse for the Brit? Side by side, squeezing that BMW to the outside of the circuit, but down the inside in towards turn 14, and gets the move done up into 6th place. Up front, Dutchy's not being challenged by Piero, who's got the gap to Toussaint, bringing his teammate Tiger along with him as they go down the crest of the start-finish straight in towards the first corner. It's very much the opposite of Portimao, this start-finish straight, whereas Portimao goes up and then back down. This start-finish straight goes down and then back up in the run down towards the first corner. Natty in his purple and green BMW slowing down for half a second, would ideally want to build up a decent gap to Fortman so that green and purple BMW doesn't get the move back ahead. Listen to these cars as they exit the tunnel for the 17th time in this race. It's a bit of a slow burner here at Deep Forest Raceway. The pack rather spread out, and I know it is close between these drivers in 4th to down to 5th, but they're not quite close enough to make an effect in this race. Natty has stayed ahead of Fortman's in serving that penalty. Toussaint sets the new fast lap of the race, a 1:25.5, contributing to going towards the extra points. And of course, Toussaint didn't have the best results in Mount Panorama. Had his headset disconnection before his crash at the dipper on the final lap, and then lost the position to Tim down at the final chicane. Does go into this race with 5 points. But remember, he won a championship without winning a race and does currently run in 4th place. Cameron Kaboom still leads the way on lap 18, about to start lap number 19, but has yet to make a pit stop off of those soft compound tyres of which he started the race on. And looking at where the drivers are in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, I'm not sure he's going to keep that 1st place when he makes his pit stop and refuels that Mercedes to go to the end of the race. Piero purple 125.5. That is a very 400ths quicker than 2 Saints' fastest lap. That's how close that was. Tim is making his way back up into this race. He's in 8th place, not where he would have wanted to be, but is gaining on the cars in front in the Subaru. And we have had another retirement. Ben Roberts, 2 DNFs in a row for him. Despite being in 10th place, won't score any points, didn't finish the race. Questioning if I think Tim was just in the limits there, not to be given a half a second penalty. Now just remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't lose faith in any of these drivers. Not just for those in like Tiger and 5th, but what I was referring to is the not lack of overtaking, but lack of overtaking. Yeah, it's I don't know how I'm supposed to word this, but there is not much happening at the minute. It is a slow burner, but do remember the slow burners in the past have often been the best racers, best ends to races. Suzuka, Mount Panorama from season 7. There was practically nothing happened in the middle of that race, and then we had 3 takeouts in the final 4 laps. It's unbelievable. What I can do, though, is give you some stats from the first race of the season. No, I can't, because I've already updated them with the results from this race, so they are all going to be wrong. Can't do that. Gavra saying he's off the soft soon, if that's any consolidation. I was wondering when he would pit off those soft compound tyres, really taking them to the limit. Lap 21 of 31, very close to getting a puncture, drifting his way through the tunnel. I'd say drifting, controlled spinning without the spin. Fortman's is in off the soft compound tyres at the end of lap 20. But Cameron doing something different here tonight, starting on the soft compound tyres after starting in 2nd place, just behind Piero, but quickly made his way up into the lead of the race. It's going to be interesting to see how many drivers we see this season start on the soft compound tyres and then go to the mediums later. We do have the option to do that with the reduced tyre wear. Every race should be a one stop from the mediums onto the softs, or vice versa. And it could make sense to do it at some tracks where tracks like Lago Maggiore, where you often find yourself battling, losing time. If you can get ahead on the softs, it might be worth it. But then the price you pay is the drivers behind working together as opposed to battling. That was the gamble that I took in Mount Panorama, starting on the softs. Yes, you pull away, but there wasn't really anyone battling. Here we go, though. Piero on the inside, down and towards the first corner. The Frenchman on the inside of the Dutchman, and puts his McLaren up into 2nd place, ahead of Play Dutch, who drops down into 3rd place. Cameron Kabumi in the chat saying he was hoping for the same. Unfortunately for him, drivers behind picking up time penalties and not really fighting, as we've got a nice beautiful view of the bush I'm not sure what was going on in that bush, but the cameraman definitely saw something that we didn't. Tiger Assassin just dropped off the back of his teammate, who will be benefiting from this little battle between Piero and Dutchy. Gavra said he picked up a couple of penalties that hurt his stint. Definitely hurt mine as well. Dutchy and Piero side by side through the tunnel. You can't really see their cars apart from the lights that light them up. Piero, though, defensive on the inside. Dutchy's going to have to try and work this round the outside as Cameron Kaboom comes into the pits. And this is going to be impressive from Dutchy if he can make it stick round the outside. Beautifully executed. Maybe Piero let him go to get the slipstream down towards the first corner. We ride on board inside of the McLaren to see the gaining speed on that Mercedes. Does he go for it? On the inside, the left-hand side of the circuit, the right-hand side of your screen, they're neck and neck as they start lap 23 and jump Cameron Kaboom, who's still in pit lane. Piero on the inside of Dutchy, side by side, but it gets ahead out of the apex. Dutchy's going to try the switch back, get a good run up the hill in towards turn 2, but nothing he can do about that. As Cameron leaves the pit lane in 5th place on medium tyres. Unfortunately for him, unless there's a crash, it's going to be tough for him to overtake these guys whilst they're on, even though they're on Warner soft compound tyres, they're still a compound quicker. And unlike the F1 games, there isn't really much of a crossover point until very late on in the stint. What did I say 5 laps to go about these races being slow burners? They often have a dip in the middle, but fully ignite towards the end. Dutchy just looking for an open door on the inside, but isn't going to walk through it. He's going to set himself up down the corridor in towards the hallway. Don't know where this is going. It gives Piero a little bit of a nudge. Which way will Piero go? Which way does Dutchy go? Piero parks his car in the middle, allows Dutchy to choose his route. Dutchy's going to just keep behind the McLaren for now. Maybe try and pull out an advantage to Saint behind, to not allow them to get involved in this battle for what is now the lead of the race here at Deep Forest Raceway. Dutchy and Piero side by side for the lead of the race. Down the hill they go. Piero with a half a second time penalty, but Dutchy capitalises and moves his way up into the lead of the race. That was a beautiful move from the orange Mercedes, and it's brought Toussaint right in it with Piero's half a second penalty, which we'll be serving here. Let's ride on board with the McLaren driver. He slows down and can see Piero slowing next to him in towards the hairpin. They're going to go side by side, but the McLaren is now taking up the gap, the space in his rearview mirrors. And that's Piero from first to third in a lap. Once again, it seems to be a trademark move from Piero, it seems, this season, going from first to third within the space of a lap. Not one that he's going to want to put on his CV. Three drivers, though, fighting for the lead of this race. It's the season 2-3-4 champion, 2-3-4-5, sorry, against the season 1 and 6 champion, against a Super League Constructors champion, who will come out on top in this battle. 2 British manufacturers against the Mercedes, but 3 different teams fighting for victory. And we're at that stage of the race where not getting any time penalties is crucial. what's beautiful about this battle is, although we've got black and silver as colours on these cars, we've got three very different contrasting colours to go with them: green, red and orange, which really makes them stand out on the grid. It's just a shame that Cameron's red and black, Natty's purple and green, and Tim's pink, white and black cars. Wolfie's shining purple and green one isn't up there as well. But just you wait, ladies and gentlemen, until we get to not Deep Forest, we're at Deep Forest, Tokyo Expressway. That is the most anticipated race of the season. And if I could, I would do a whole season of Tokyo, just for the drama, just for the carnage, just for the entertainment of what I like to call pack racing, NASCAR style. Hopefully by then 14 cars separated by 3 seconds for 30 laps, 45 minutes. But it's Dutchy who leads from Toussaint. Pierre are your top three. Tiger in 4th place out of Cameron in 5th. Natty's in 6th, being closed up by Tim in 7th and Wolfie in 8th, as Littman and Ben Roberts have both retired from this race. The top three making their way through the hairpin now. Tiger and Cameron not too far behind, but aren't really making much of an impression. But of course, it's key to keep putting in those quick laps. Mistakes can happen, crashes can occur, as we're down to the final 5. Final 5 laps of this race, with Dutchy in the lead, looking for another back-to-back victory here in Season 9. He's not out-qualified his teammates so far this season, but he has beaten him once in the last race and is set to beat him again. Tiger finishing 2nd in Mount Panorama means he has the one-up on his teammate. And Piero wasn't here. Was here last week, but Cameron wasn't, so Piero hasn't yet outscored his teammate in a qualifying session, apart from today where he makes it 1-0. They're set to make it 1-0 in race finishing positions as well. Tim's teammate is still absent, but I believe rumours circulating that he's going to be teaming up with Wolfie for the remaining of the season, as both of their teammates are yet to set a wheel on the grid. So we'll see how that unfolds. But if it was to finish as it is now, we'd only have one different pole sitter, one different race winner from the opening 2 races. Toussaint and Pierre will be trying to put a stop to Dutchy's dominance. I mean, this is only round 2, but they've seen what he can do over the course of a season. Famously won 12 out of 15 races in season 4. Not 5. But Toussaint's all over the back of Dutchy, going through turn 14. This is where the tension starts to rack up a couple of notches, and things start to get spicy. Dutchy moves his car just over to the middle of the track slightly. Toussaint's not going to go for it on the inside. Might be waiting for the first corner. There aren't really many on-track battles happening as we speak. But what's also noticeable is Tim gaining on the back of Natty. You can see the Subaru coming into shot. But back up the top, the top 3 make their way through the final couple of corners. Over the hill to start lap 29 of 31. Just crossing the 40-minute mark. In towards turn 1, Dutchy still leads, and Toussaint just not quite close enough to challenge for a move. But as it looks, let me just go back. It appears that Toussaint is just getting more confident on those soft compound tyres, And I've got the drink ready. Because I think we're going to need it. It's hammer time. Let's go, go, go. Who is going to win this race? Wolfie's into the pits for a fastest lap attempt. Running in 8th place. See how drivers, they're really pushing their track limits to try and gain the most amount of lap time as they can. Here we go though, Toussaint in the slipstream of Dutchy, so you're going to go for it on the inside. We ride on board with the McLaren, who pulls over to the left hand side of the circuit, late on the brakes, on the inside of the Mercedes. And they are side by side at the apex, but Toussaint gets moved down and moves up into the lead of the race. Is that a crucial move? Is that a race-winning move? Here in Deep Forest, he will start the penultimate lap of the race in the lead. Here goes Piero looking for the left, right. Which way does he go? From moving, but can't quite find the gap. Kind of just paused there. I don't really know what happened. But Toussaint survives turn 1 in the lead of the race from Dutchy. Piero planning his attack. Started on pole. Will be trying to execute what's the word? No, it's not a grand slam because he hasn't led every single lap. I'm trying to think of another phrase. Anyway, he has got pole. He's got the fastest lap. Can he find victory to complete the set? In the background, Natty and Tim are very close to each other. We could have 2 photo finishes here in Deep Forest, not for the first time. Toussaint going defensive, but Dutchy's not attacking. Into the final corner. I thought Toussaint ran wide. Just a little bit of lag. Natty and Tim still very close together, but up top, the fuel lights are flashing. The fans are standing because the leaders are side by side starting the final lap of the race. Here in Deep Forest, Toussaint on the inside. Dutchy going to try and work it to the outside, in towards the first corner. Toussaint positioning his car beautifully, not allowing either the switchback or the swoop round the outside from Play Dutchy, and keeps the lead of the race. Look on the mini-map as well, the 2 arrows going down the start-finish straight. That's Natty and Tim. We'll keep an eye on them towards the end of this race to see what progress Tim can make after his spin down at the first corner in the opening couple of laps of this race. But it's lap 31 of 31. The battle for the lead is not over because any of these 3 can still win it. Penalties can be given. Crashes can be caused. Looks like Toussaint's ran a little bit wide through turn 10. Could that cost him the lead of the race? Because here comes Play Dutchy on the outside. Just tucks back in behind McLaren for now, but here comes Piero as well. Piero almost being boxed in door to door with Dutchy. They're wheel banging down the back straight. Toussaint in the lead of the race. But Piero on the inside of Dutchy makes contact with the Mercedes. And that's Dutchy. Dutchy spun! Dutchy spun at the final corner. And there was a little bit of contact between him and Piero. But rounding the final corner from disappointment in the mountains, it's a race victory in the hills of Deep Forest Raceway here in Switzerland for Toussaint, and wins his first race of the season. Dutchy just about finishes in 3rd, ahead of Tiger in 4th place. Let's just go back to watch that final lap action again, and we'll get it on board from Play Dutchy. And this race isn't over yet. You can see there the little bit of contact, but Dutchy just floors it on the AstroTurf. I think that will probably go down as a racing incident. Not sure Piero done too much there. We'll see if the stewards want to make a claim, as Toussaint does pick up the race victory. Pierre Cameron had been finishing in 5th place, but meanwhile at the back, Tim overtook Natty, weaving to try and break the toe down the back straight. It's BMW versus Subaru, and that Subaru lacking in straight line speed, evidence as the BMW swoops on the right hand side of the circuit. Will be the outside for turn 14. Here goes Tim though, sending one back down the inside. Natty running wide to give himself a good exit. Can he get that good exit? It appears he's got a decent enough exit. They're side by side. Tim squeezing him over into the pit lane. There's just enough room for Natty to fit through on the inside. And they're going to go side by side down the start finish straight. Can Natty finish in 6th, or can Tim claw back an extra point over the line in 6th and 7th place? Tim just about missing out of 6th place. And Wolfie, in an attempt to go for the fastest lap, has picked up damage. Not sure where that happened. But we will watch him complete the lap. And then we'll go back and watch that final lap again. Whilst we are concluding this race. Last but not least, Wolfie finishing in 8th place and scoring some good points for the team. But let's just go back and watch this again whilst we conclude this race. Toussaint had the best view of it and picks up his first win of the season. And that was the moment that he knew he'd won this race. So then, the championship is now wide open for anyone to take going into the next race. Dutchy leads on 32 points, 2 points ahead of Piero in 2nd place, and with a race win, Toussaint moves himself from 6th to 3rd with a beautifully executed race win. Cameron saying Dutchy done well to keep it out of the wall, and we're going to get that, the usual post-race screenshot as well as, oh dear, as well. I hope that doesn't get clipped. But thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed that race. There was entertainment from lap 1 to lap 31, minus a little bit of an interval in the middle. But that hey ho, that happens in racing. I wish the sun would come out a little bit. Makes for a little bit of a dead image. Anyway. Thank you ever so much for watching. That was a great race. Well done to Toussaint for winning. For context, I've been having a go at him all week for finishing 6th place in Mount Panorama, so I'd like to think that the motivation helped him secure a race victory. He doesn't think so. Where was I? Oh yes, join us next week for Daytona, where we will be racing under the floodlights for about 50% of that race. Should be a day to night transition if I get the timing right. In a minute, there is your race winner and my personal driver of the day. Done really well to claw back a race win after riding in about 5th place for a lot of time in that race. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you all to the drivers who turned up, blah blah blah, all that useless stuff. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube and the Twitch. It's mostly, not mostly, it's fully appreciated. Yeah. I'll see you in America. Goodbye.